Welcome to Three Voices Unfiltered, where no topic is off limits and everything gets real. Join us,
Ronisha,
Theresa,
Suzanne, as we dive into hot topics, share our wildest experiences, and bear our honest opinions and thoughts. Buckle up, because with us it's always raw, always vibrant, and absolutely unfiltered. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Three Voices Unfiltered. Today we'll be talking about our aging process and our aging parents. So there's a lot to discuss, and we're really excited about this episode.
it's okay.
Yeah, we're excited. I'm excited.
It'll be good.
It'll be good. This is going to be really interesting because we were just talking before we hit play or record that two of us are taking care of our parents, but Ronisha's parents are still young and they are kind of independent. So she might learn a few tips from us. That's true. And when the time comes. Maybe, not everyone has to take care of their parents and not every parent needs help.
Right.
But for those of us that are there and for those of you that are going to be there in the future, maybe we can give you some tips. And at the end of the episode, we will encourage you to give us your tips to see if we can learn something about how you take care of your parents. Mm-hmm. So I have my mom, and my mom has been with me since 2017. She came to North Carolina after Hurricane Maria, which was a devastation to the island, and she went without power for 3 months, without water for probably almost that long. And I brought her over here, and since then she has been with my husband and I. I was fortunate enough that John's a handyman, so he was able to build a cottage or an apartment beside our house for her. So she has her own space, she can keep her autonomy, and we have our own space, which is very good for my mental health.
That's really good. That's a blessing that he could build her something.
Yeah, her own space,
yes.
and she can feel her keep her independence.
Yes. Absolutely, mm-hmm. That's huge.
So but the question is, how do I take care of myself as I'm taking care of my mother? Mm-hmm. What do we do for our self-care and our mental health as we're taking care of aging parents? Mm-hmm. I'm not working full-time right now, so that's a blessing. But there are people that work full-time and have to do this. So to start our episode, we'll talk about our aging process. I am not a 25-year-old anymore, and I try to remind my mother of that. But what physical changes, let me ask you this, ladies. What physical changes have you noticed as you're aging? For example, gray hair or achy knees, and does it affect your self-image any? Mm-hmm. Like, do you feel that these physical changes are let's start with just our self-image. Mm-hmm. How do we feel about that?
Okay, well for me, one of the things that I still do is I go and get my hair done from a hairstylist. I get my nails done, I get my pedicure, I do that religiously. When I look at myself in the mirror, I still see like me, but then I still see me. I still think, I'm 66, so I'm still thinking, I'm 36 or whatever, but it's just not the reality. What I have noticed in my life is at this particular age, I've always gone to get annual physicals, whether it's the blood work, the mammogram, checking, your ears. I go to the eye doctor, dental, do all of those maintenance items. And this year, in January of this year, I started having, some health issues, And that's not me, because everybody knows I move and I shake. I be doing different things. And what I have learned to do, because I have been diagnosed with a couple of things, is I slow down. Because I used to be quick, in a hurry, gotta do this, gotta get this done, And I don't do that anymore, and I am blessed because I am retired, and I've been retired for over 4 years. So things are just not that serious for me, whereas I have to get it done because you guys, when you're working, you do everything. I mean, you do everything either after work or you do it on the weekends. Okay, so you're busy, 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 busy. So I'm thankful and grateful that I can not have to wait until a certain time to do laundry or go to the grocery store or whatever it is that or participate in activities. But I just noticed that I have slowed down. And it's not just because physically slowing down because, I can't, but just slowing down because for my mental health as well, because everything is just not urgent. That's basically what I have to say about that.
And slowing down is important. I had when I was working full time and going to college and raising my son and busy with church and I was just running around with like a chicken with my head cut off. I had someone come to me and she was admiring me. She wasn't saying it in a bad way. She said, "Oh my gosh, you are a superwoman. You do so much." And I didn't like that. I told her, I said, I don't want to be a superwoman. Like, I don't want to have all this stuff happening and having to do it, but I didn't have a choice. I wanted to improve my career. I don't have a choice with my son. I had to do what's best for him. I have to work. So there wasn't really much that I could cut off. But so slowing down is important. Yeah.
Catch your breath.
Yeah, I realized when I was getting gray hairs, I was plucking them out. I'm like, the devil is a lie. We're not doing this. Then they were getting too many. I couldn't pluck them all. So, okay, I'm like, okay, that's just going to be what it is until I decide I want to dye my hair. And then slowing down, you physically are different. Like, you're just different as you age. And like Theresa said, you see yourself as who you were. The young person, you still see yourself. I still see myself like I'm in my 20s, late 20s or early 30s. And I'm not. The knee aches. Random. I used to lift up my arm. Now I can't. Like, it's the doctor appointments. The extended doctor appointments because on any given week, something could not work properly.
Me and my cousin was just saying that this past week. It was like, I don't know, did we ignore having pains back in the day? I don't know, because we were so busy. I don't know, but I'm just like, every time I turn around, I'm gonna tell y'all something really, really funny, and you're gonna laugh at this. I was at I had to travel. This is when I was working. I traveled a lot when I was working, and so I was at I was in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, on a business trip, and I was with my manager and my team, right? So we went to Bonefish Grill. It's a restaurant, seafood restaurant. But anyway, so we went there, and so we had to wait. And so we were all sitting down, right? And then when it was time when they called our table, we all got up, was making sounds, y'all. Like, And we bust out laughing, because, we were in our, 40s and 50s, at that time. Nobody was over 50, but, in their 60s. But it was just so weird that we remember that. And the other day, I was driving, me and my son were driving in the car, right? And my son, my son is 46, right? And he was making sounds, and I fell out laughing. I said, "You're getting old." I said, "You are getting old," and he laughed as well.
It happened.
It happened.
I was at Kevin's house.
Yeah.
Kevin is 35 now, and he was doing some yoga and on the floor stretching, and he was saying that he had this type of ache and pain, and it was just funny. So I got on the floor and I started doing yoga and stretching and stuff with him. I'm like, I might as well, but it happens. Even last night I got up and I went to, I think I was sitting on the floor. I went to get up and I'm like, gosh, my knees, oh my God.
I know. And it's funny because as you age, when you talk to your friends, you're exchanging primary care physicians. You're exchanging
your medication list.
Yes, you're like, who did that to your leg? Oh, what's their name? What's their name? It's like you're trading doctors.
Yeah, it's funny.
And talking more and more about our health issues.
health
We're
issues.
talking about currently beds.
Exactly. Yes,
everything
absolutely.
else.
Especially when you have a health scare, like you mentioned, Theresa, and I had a health scare. That I didn't expect. And I feel like that happens as you age. It could happen as you age.
And it does. And our physical body will change. And our mental abilities change. Because, okay, this is me. What's that? I'm telling a story and I can't think of it. What's that word? And the bad thing is that I'm bilingual. I speak English and Spanish. And when I cannot think of the word in either language, it really is shocking. I can't think of that word.
Definitely memory issues.
Oh, wow,
I was trying to think of a house style. I was talking to a person like, I don't like that house style. I'm like, it was built in the 70s. It's a flat ranch style home built in the 70s. What is that house style? I'm like, it's not Mediterranean. It's not Tudor. I had to Google and said I was like, what is the house style built in the mid-century modern? I'm like, I racked my brain for 15 minutes trying to think of what this house style was.
Yeah, memory is a big.
That's the one that bothers me the most.
That bothers me the most
I'm
too.
scared. So my mother has early dementia, and it scares me that might be me. Like, I would rather lose a limb, honestly, than lose my memory, because my memory to me is one of my greatest.
My grandmother too.
Assets.
She
like
has
I really,
dementia.
And
I go, and it's sad because you go see her, and I'm like, do you know who I am? I have to ask her. And she was like, Peggy. That's my mom. I'm like, no, try again.
Yeah.
Oh, it's you, Ronisha. Yeah, I know who you are, girl. And then she just pretends.
Right.
Like she was just joking with me or something. Yeah. She's 88 though.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah.
But yeah, she's definitely that's tough, and that goes into our aging. That means our parents are aging, and our grandparents and people around us are also aging.
So when I'm having birthdays now, and this happened, I think I started noticing this mindset maybe about 5 years ago. So, I mean, birthdays are great. We want to have birthdays because the alternative is not having a birthday. So, but I started thinking about I was upset for one birthday, and I thought, what is wrong with me? Like, I'm aging, that's okay. And it was the realization that as I'm aging, everybody else around me is getting older. My mother is getting older. My brothers are getting older. And that's what upset me. I'm like, so thinking about them and about their longevity is what kind of paused me. I thought, wow, I really need to think about this and process it. And it's okay, we're aging. It's okay to get older.
That's a good point, Suzanne, because as you age, people age around you, and then people die.
And people die, and that's
close
what it was.
People around you that you felt like, oh, I never thought I would be without this person in my life.
And then they're gone. And
especially when someone passes away, like I just recently lost a friend that's my age.
Yes.
And over like some health issues she was having, it's a reality check. Like, wow, this is serious, you know.
And we're not that, I mean, overall, I don't think that we're old, but everybody else around us is older. And it's kind of like, it scares me, but I'm grateful now. I appreciate birthdays. Like, we make a big deal about birthdays. So let me ask you this. How do you feel, and Theresa touched about it on it a little bit, and I think you did as well. Our mind, do you feel your brain is telling you you're 25 when your body's telling you you're almost 60? Well, me. Because I don't feel like other than when we have like a few memory lapse or something. But do you feel that way? Like your brain is...
Definitely. Absolutely. Yeah. Especially
you can't keep up, you know.
when I have to do physical things. You know what I mean? Um, yeah. Especially when I have to do physical things.
Yeah,
I would say
That bothers
that.
me, you know. Memory is a big thing with me right now. That's why a lot of times I'll do things just to challenge my mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And especially being retired.
Mhm.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I am an active retired person because I refuse to sit home unless it's one day I decide I said I'm not doing nothing today.
And mental
You know?
health day, that's what I call
But
them.
mental health day,
Yeah.
you know. But I always try to find something to do, whether it's inside or out, you know, inside the house or outside the house. Um, yeah, but memory is a big thing for me because I always have in the back of my mind, and I pray for this daily, you guys, is I pray for a sound mind, you know,
Absolutely.
because I always have in the back of my mind, you know, about developing dementia or Alzheimer's, you know, having memory issues. But then
It's something to be aware of.
yeah, but then I
because-
do. But
yeah.
older people, when you get older, okay, it is natural to have some memory loss. But then it's weird though because I have good memory when it comes to a whole lot of stuff. And then the other day I went to the grocery store. I bought two things. I knew I bought one thing. I couldn't think about the other thing that I bought to save my life until I went home. You
All
know,
the time.
and I'm like, what? I said I only bought two things in this bag. You know, and it was in the back seat, and I'm like, what did I buy? And I couldn't think of what it was. And then when I emptied it out, I said, oh, I did buy. Oh, that's what I bought. You know. But anyway, you know, little things like that.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ronisha, about, so do you take care of your body differently?
I do. I
Then-
try to. Yeah, I try to because I know my activity level is not the way it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I know because my lifestyle, I eat less. I don't eat as much as I love to eat. I know I'm not going to be doing the thing I need to do to burn that off.
Oh my gosh, let's not even start talking about metabolism.
So, what's
Oh
that?
my gosh,
That's
it
gone.
is real.
That's gone.
I could eat 3 pizzas,
Yeah.
2 liters of soda, and I'm exaggerating. I never did that, but I could have, and I wouldn't have gained a pound. I had one slice the next day I
Oh
gained a
yeah,
pound.
yeah, that's over with. I think that I lost that 10 years ago. I lost that a long time ago. But it's funny though, and Theresa, I think you mentioned it, memory, but also you change. Sometimes you change, but you don't know you're changing. Getting older, your mind feels like you're the same.
Yes.
But then other people, like my children, pick on me and they say, "Oh, she can't take a joke now. Yeah, we can't joke with her."
Like personality?
Yeah.
Wow.
I guess
hadn't thought
I'm a
about
little bit more like serious now with my kids because they talk to me
Right.
about things and I'm like, well, you should do this. And they're like, it was a joke. It was a joke.
Oh, well, my son
I'm
tells me the
like-
opposite, Ronisha,
Oh.
because he was like, "Who are you?" You know, because I guess
Oh.
when I was, you know,
Me
younger
too.
and raising him, you know, I was, you know, this,
Okay.
okay.
I
But
flip-flop.
now,
But the-
but now,
Okay.
it's like, you know, if
Yeah.
he see me, especially if he see me around young people, you know, the little ones. And he just is so amazed. And it's so true because I do have more patience.
Me
I
too.
do have
That-
understanding. I do realize
That's
that
good.
this child is 8 years old and he's normal. There's nothing wrong with him. Leave him alone. He is
Exactly.
all right. But, you know, my son, I guess he said, well, where was she?
When I was
When
being raised.
when I was a
the same.
teenager.
Same thing.
You know what I mean? You know, but yeah.
I was
That's
the
true.
same.
That's
I
a
was
great point.
less strict now. I mean, I can't do anything. He's an adult. I can't tell him what to do or stuff like that anyhow, but I think I'm more chill
Mhm.
I
now.
think that's a good aging, attribute.
Because things are not that deep.
Yeah.
It's just not
And
that
do you
serious.
think when you're younger, we make things like, oh my gosh, the end of the world, or everything is bigger and worse
Mm-hmm.
than what it actually is?
Yes.
Mhm.
We don't do that. So how about, so let's transition.
Mhm.
Okay.
Now we're going, so we know how we're aging and how we feel and what we think and all of that. So now we become caretakers in understanding what we're feeling, right, as we age. How do you think it weighs on how we take care of our parents?
Okay, I'll start.
Right?
I'll start because my mother will be the oldest, so she is 87 years old, and but my mother still lives independently. She still gets a little transportation to go to the Walmart. She loves Walmart, y'all. But anyway, to go to the store and to do her little shopping a couple of days a week. Her favorite thing to do, I believe, is to go to doctor's appointments.
My least favorite.
That's her favorite thing, you know. I don't want to say that's her favorite thing to do, but you know what? It's just when your parent has been a certain type of way your whole life, all right? And then, full of energy, fashionable, the whole 9 yards, right? Getting hair done, nails done, things of that nature, and then you see them getting older and they slow down, and she says that I have pain and throughout my body and stuff like that. I try to think about that and have more empathy for that. I'm not real good at it because I'm telling you, and I realize this about myself, you guys. I'm still thinking, she's this, she's the, the 40-something-year-old.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because my mother has helped me.
Yeah.
I remember a couple of surgeries that I had like way back in the day. Well, three times I was in the hospital, in my life back in the day, and she was always there.
To take care of you.
And she took care of me. I remember when I was supposed to move out of one apartment into a house, and her and my son packed up, my house, So different things of that nature. So when I find myself, being a little bit short patient with her, okay, because I can be, and I identified it, okay, that I'll be short patient with her because I'm still thinking, that she's that it's 30 years ago, you know what I'm saying?
40 years
ago. So I have to, I told myself, I said, I have to make a conscious effort, okay, to be more empathetic. And I am an empathetic person, but I have to be more empathetic with that, because she is older now, And the one thing about, my mother is, my mother's real sweet, and she got a ton of grandchildren and great-grandchildren and whatever, and they all love her and, and everything. So she's blessed, to have that, to have that
support system.
That's good.
Well, yeah, there's a little bit of pride there. You know what I mean? With her because she's independent and she's always been, independent.
It's hard for them to give up that
independence. And it's hard for them to give up that independence, But I tell her, I said, you got these, grandchildren and great-grandchildren who are adults, and they drive and they couldn't whatever, But she has her reasons, and I don't understand it because I love driving too, and I love, being out there, you guys, but I just would want her to just rely on, there's nothing wrong with relying on people.
Somebody
to
help her.
That's my, my experience. Well, I got more experience with my mother, but that's the gist of it.
Yeah, because my 88-year-old grandmother had a car accident, hit a tree, and was in a rehabilitation center for almost a month.
Wow.
She broke her hip, she broke her wrist, she broke her knee, her ankle.
Wow.
Because she was following her husband. They were going somewhere. She was driving the car. She says another car came over in her lane, which we don't think happened.
Wow.
We think she just got discombobulated driving and veered off the road, and she ran straight into the woods and hit a tree. So they don't want to relinquish that independence, like we probably wouldn't either.
Yeah, exactly.
She talks to this day that she's gonna get her license back. No, ma'am, you are not. You are a hazard to society.
Because you know what? Because driving is independent,
Absolutely.
and especially for us, where we live, because we don't, we live in an area where there's no public transportation. Now, when I lived in, the north, when I was in New Jersey, it was like public transportation. So,
it's hard for them.
But it's just hard for them.
It's hard for them.
And that's one thing when I noticed when you were talking about your mom and her helping you, and then now you're helping her, and you're thinking about going, when she was 47 and doing these things for you, and thinking about today that she can't do, you forget that she's not 47 anymore.
Right.
So that happened to me with my mom when we were first seeing the signs of dementia, because my mom was sharp. She was you could tell her things, she would do it. She would give people advice. She was a social worker.
Wow.
So she was able to, she had to be with it. And anyhow, I started noticing that I had to repeat myself. And I said, I told you that yesterday. And so I honestly, at the beginning, my husband and I would say, like, I think she's kind of maybe faking it for attention. We didn't know because that wasn't what happened before. So then I thought, well, maybe she's not listening to me, because I feel like she could repeat what other people were saying, but then the important things that I was saying, she was forgetting. So I thought, so then I took it personal. You're not listening to me. I told you this yesterday, or I told you this morning. Now it's more 10 minutes ago. So it kind of progresses to, it gets shorter and shorter. The memory gets shorter and shorter. But yeah, so it took me to pause and really start noticing other symptoms that were there before I finally took it to the doctor. And eventually a year later we got a diagnosis and all of that. But it's takes us to think about what they're going through, and hopefully, and that makes me observe myself now. So when I'm forgetting a word or something, I get scared. I said, oh my gosh, is this dementia? And it isn't. It's natural aging. But the point is that to be aware of their changes. There will be changes as they age. So we need to make sure that we're aware of those changes, because they may actually be a medical condition or dementia. Or I've even been reading, because I've been following some groups that says UTIs. If an elderly person gets a UTI, it gives them symptoms of dementia.
Wow.
And it's just a UTI, yes.
Wow.
So taking care of our parents might lead to so in my case, I am making doctor's appointments. I am administering medications, doing finances, and how to do her living arrangements. If in your case, and I know this is going to be somewhat hypothetical, how do you think you will handle that in the future, if it comes to that?
Well, my mom said my sister's gonna manage all her affairs.
Oh, really?
I was like, what? Can I handle your affairs? She was like, I want your sister to.
Who's older? You're your sister?
I'm older.
Oh. Okay.
She feels like I'm a little less settled than my sister, and that I would leave her somewhere.
That's funny.
But I wouldn't do that. So I think, and this made me think about this as you were talking, she's already set up. My parents have set up a lot of what they want to happen.
That's wonderful.
And I think that's a good thing for everybody to do. And it's a part of the aging process. Something's going to happen one day. You don't know what day, but just to make sure financially and all your affairs are in order. Things are written out, what you want to do, where policies are, and all benefits and all these things are. I think it's important to start thinking about that as you age, but maybe have something out there, when you do, if you ever get to that
That's
point.
important, because I have an experience of witnessing someone that their affairs, actually several situations, their affairs were not in order. And for some reason, I don't know why, when there's money involved, people change. People get crazy. So if you don't have your affairs in order, it just makes it more difficult for the family members that you're leaving behind. Right?
Yeah. My experience has been, this has been so recent. So my mother lives about 2 hours and 40 minutes away from me. So now she doesn't live in New Jersey anymore. And so I go to see her. When she first moved there, and I first moved her there November 2021. I would go every month. I would go every month. I'm getting in the car and I'm going. Well, it come to a point. So it came to a point, you guys, to whereas I take my mother a lot of things. I cook a lot of food for her, vacuum seal it. Everybody know what I do. Vacuum seal it. Make sure she has plenty of food. I buy her clothes and everything else I see, household stuff. I buy all kinds of stuff. So I take it. So I take a lot of things there to my mother's house. Well, come to find out, earlier this year, then I stopped going once a month. Okay, so now I go like once every couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm gonna get to, I got a point. So the other day, earlier this year, I said, I can't continue to go there by myself. See, this has to do with aging. And she lives in a 55 plus community. She lives on the 3rd floor in this fabulous building. And I was going back and forth, taking things from my car to her apartment, to her apartment. So I was doing all of that. So I made a decision that I'm not going to her house anymore by myself. So my son gets off of work at 2:00 on Fridays. He comes to my house, take a shower, get dressed, and then he packs up my car. We go to go to his grandmother's house, and then we come back on Sunday. All right, so I'm saying all that to say, well, when I went last month, okay, I wanted to have a witness. So we went shopping that Saturday, and I wanted to have a witness to the conversation. And I asked her several things. So I asked her about health directive. What did she want? She told us. I asked her, she said, you already know, what I want as far as, when I pass away, in my body or whatever. But I wanted my son to hear that as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So that way there was a witness. So we have the paperwork for that. Also, I called one of my brothers, and because I asked her, who do you want to be your power of attorney? Now, I have all of her information. I know everything. Okay, I have all her, insurance paperwork. I have all of that, okay? But as I'm getting older, I'm like, why am I got to be the only one? She got 3 sons,
Right.
okay? You know what I mean? So I asked my younger brother, I said, because she said, well, I would want you and, my younger brother. And so now we agreed we're going to be dual power of attorney. All right, which is, which I just think is fair. I also asked him, Suzanne, to your question, question about doctor's appointments and things like that. She makes her own doctor's appointments, she loves it. Okay, so she makes her
go to the doctor.
She makes her own, which is a good lesson. I mean, it's not just
a field trip.
Yeah,
she likes to get out.
Yeah. So she makes her own doctor's appointments and things like that, And there's some other stuff that I do for her. But now we're finding that we have to be more of an advocate for her, because she was in her apartment, you guys, and because the apartment complex was going through employee transitions and and staffing issues. All right, things weren't getting done. So I told me and my brother, we tag team, and guess what? It was only a couple of things. Like, I'll give you an example, like the light in her freezer went out. Something like that. So simple things like that. Nothing major. So it's all done. So getting older. So I'm tying that into getting older as well for myself. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, she's relying on me for all these things when my brother can help us, I can get somebody else in the family. So guess what I realized? Because I have a tendency to have a characteristic of being, controlling. And I understand that about me. But that's what I'm relinquishing too as I'm getting older. I don't have to do everything. I don't have to be in control. It's okay to ask for help.
And that's a big, that's a good segue to what I wanted to add. I realized that I cannot do everything. I don't want to be superwoman. I don't want to do everything anymore. And I was able to get through my mother's insurance an assistant, and this person comes 5 days a week for 5 hours each day.
That's good.
Did I get some pushback? Did I get some, I don't need anybody? Absolutely. But I said, you know what? We're going to try it out. I'm not 25 anymore.
Good for you.
And it's something
I love it.
Just it flipped. Just as I understand that she's not 25 and can't help me pack or whatever, she could, but you know what, where I'm getting to, she can't help me do some things. I can't do some things either.
Absolutely.
So I can't, and I'm still having problems with my shoulder, so I can't lift certain weight, and I just and it's not about time. Like I feel guilty thinking I really have the time to do it, but it's not about that. It's about my physical and mental health.
Absolutely.
And if I can get somebody in here that can do a little cleaning and feed her lunches. The person does more than I did for her daily because she's pretty independent throughout the day. She's independent on her own. It's just the cognitive thinking that's declined. So I have to make decisions and things. So anyhow, getting help is okay. Involving your siblings is okay. And that's the problem because it shouldn't fall on you. I have 2 brothers and it does mainly fall on me because they're 8 hours away. They're willing to help, but I have to, it takes so much work for me to get her all the way up there. Anyhow, but so you got to involve others as much as you can.
Absolutely, because I remember you were doing so much in the beginning, but that's good that you got some help.
It's wonderful. We love her. I love her.
That's good.
It's wonderful. So research your insurance, and there's grants out. When I was doing all this research, I found out there's grants out there. There's people you can hire, and it really isn't that expensive. I'm sure that the person that we have isn't making like $40 an hour. So there's resources, and just those few little there's seniors, the senior centers, there's senior daycares, there's one that's opening in town. So there are resources, respite care, to give you just a little bit of relief, and use that if you can. So I was thinking as you were talking that we're kind of like in 3 different levels. My mother gets a lot of care. Yours is a little bit, and your parents no care. Like they're totally independent, and it's important to maintain their autonomy through it all.
But I do see that my parents are aging. Thanksgiving now is something that my mom has said, y'all have to do that now.
Pass the torch.
Yeah, I did it 2 years ago.
She did it 2 years ago. It's too much on her. She says physically to be in the house cooking from Wednesday to Thursday, Thanksgiving. It's a lot to do. She has relinquished that to my sister and I. She doesn't do any cooking on Thanksgiving or Christmas. We have to decide if it's going to be at my house or my sister's. That's what we talking about now. So I'm like, wow, that's,
that's an aging thing.
Yeah, that's an aging thing because I love my mom's food.
To go to mom's and
eat and kick back. And she did everything. I mean, working hard. But then we invited her. We had Thanksgiving at my house last year. We invited her, and she was like, "This is good."
It really is. I mean, it really is. Listen, I'm trying to go somewhere for Thanksgiving. I've always, you always been around family, right?
Yeah.
And so early in the year, we were supposed to get together and go on a cruise for Thanksgiving, but, things happen or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? So I said, you know what, we're going to do it right for 2025. I said, in January, I said, we're going to pick this cruise. We're going to pay for this cruise. This is where we're going. All right. And we're going to eat turkey.
On the cruise. In the middle of the ocean. In the middle of the ocean somewhere.
I went on a cruise Christmas. My mom went, my dad went. That was fine. But Thanksgiving, I want home cooking. I don't want cruise cooking.
I want to try because I've never been to a restaurant for Thanksgiving.
Oh, we did?
Never.
No, the year that I got married to John, it was a Thanksgiving weekend. The Saturday was Thanksgiving. It was the Saturday after Thanksgiving. And we had Thanksgiving at Golden Corral. Of all the places.
I've never been to a restaurant.
We were not going to get involved. And I don't even know why we cooked. We should have cooked. But there was so much going on with the wedding that we wanted to not be bothered. And we went to Golden Corral. I didn't really recommend that. Just cook a smaller meal. It was not fun.
Yeah, I was just happy that my mom was impressed that my sister and I cooked her food.
And it was yummy.
And it was good. And she liked it. I learned how to do her stuff. And all I asked her to do was, can you do the collards? Because I don't do the collards. So she did the collards. She brought them.
That's nice.
She was just like a guest.
One dish.
I'm not there yet.
I can do that. I can do that.
Yeah. I'm not there yet. I still like to cook for Thanksgiving. And I think
That's
Thanksgiving will be at my house this year. So I'm really excited about that. But I do get a lot of help. My cousin will be in the kitchen. Kevin and his wife will be in the kitchen. So it'll be good. But
Okay.
all right.
All right.
So one important thing real quick before we go is how to avoid burnout. Like I had to come and set boundaries, and that's a big one. And we already talked about seeking help, but there are also support groups that you can go to with people that are experiencing what you. I don't go to a support group, but I follow a Facebook group that's supposed to be a support group. Most of the time it is, but sometimes it's just venting. But a support group would be good. And setting boundaries, for example, whenever my mother called me or needed something, I would drop what I was doing and I would go over there.
Yeah.
And that started so I was kind of setting this is one of the times I'm losing a word, setting a tone, right? Oh, every time I call her, she's gonna go. So I started going back to, I'm putting my mask on, my oxygen mask on before I put hers on. So I would, now when she calls me, I say, okay, I'm in the middle of something or whatever. I could be watching TV, you all, a show, because it's not doing something important. It's that whatever she needed, it's not that important that I need to drop what I'm doing to go. Because guess what? I would go, if I don't do that, I would find myself going grumpy. Oh, I have to stop what I'm doing and go over there. What do you need? And then I'm doing it half-heartedly because I was disrupted. Because trust me, I take good care of my mom. It's not that. It's just little things.
You made a whole house for your mother. You take
like I can't find my phone, or I don't know how to turn the fan off. Just little things like that. Is what I'm talking about. If it's an emergency, I'm over there.
But think of her assistant. Now she can do all those things.
The assistant can do, like, I can't unfriend somebody on Facebook. It was stuff like that. So I would get up and go all annoyed. Now I pause. I finish what I'm doing. I'm in a good mindset and I go. So those are boundaries that I wanted to set the tone that if it's important in an emergency, Suzanne will be there immediately. But if it's something that's not important, boundaries. Like we need to set boundaries. When she comes over and I'm ready for her to go home, I get up. I say, all right, let me walk you home now, because I need
you need your time.
You need and that is okay. Like, do not feel guilty. I used to feel so guilty about it, thinking my mom's not going to be here forever. Especially when I was short-tempered with her. She's not going to be here forever. I was mean. I shouldn't have done that. But I had to get out of that mindset because I'm human. Yeah. And we do get burned out and we do get exhausted. And a lot of the feelings that I was feeling was from burnout. Yeah. And we need to be aware.
Unfriended me because she don't send me any messages anymore.
That's why she was unfriending people, because it's a whole other thing.
I need to check.
Because they weren't talking to her or whatever.
Oh, she was sending me things and I was liking them and talking to her, but maybe I didn't do it enough.
So is there any last minute thoughts, reflections that we can really quickly share I think I just shared mine, like avoid burnout, seek help, get support. Yeah. Let your siblings help you.
That's
and get
good.
Involved.
Yeah, those are good.
Mine is just now that I'm getting older and having a couple of issues, is just doing what I do with a lot of things in my life, and it's putting myself in my mother's shoes. Yes. And that's my commitment that I recently made. I said, and that's why I talk about the empathy. I said, I have a high empathy level when it comes to a lot of other things, you know what I mean? So why don't I have that same energy, with my mother? And then when I, going through things, like I just had to have cataract surgery this past week. And my mother had cataract surgery, and then she had an issue, with one of her eyes, And so when I had to have cataract surgery, my empathy level went in, like that. And I said, I wasn't having that empathy level, with her when she had her, I would want the same thing. I would want, people to listen to me, to know that I had to go to the doctor, 3-4 times, because of the challenge or whatever. So that's like my commitment. So that's my commitment to my mother, is to put myself more into her shoes and her thought process. Okay, and that the empathy level is already there, so it'll kick in.
And it's about love. Like I tell myself that often. love is patient, right? That's
Love
what
is
that's
kind.
what and that's the thing that I try to remind myself. I love my mother. I want to take care of her lovingly because she was she took care of me, helped me grow up, raised me, did all kinds of stuff, and I need to love her back for that.
Yeah, and I think it reminds me of a Bible verse I just read not too long ago where Jesus was talking to his disciples. You know, did you feed me when I was sick? Did you did you
clothe
me when I was naked? And that's ultimately what he wants us all to do for each other when there is a need. Because what we do unto people, we are ultimately doing unto him. And so that's when we take care of our parents, if we can approach, and another girl said this on TikTok, but you can approach things as we're doing it unto God.
Yeah.
As a service, being a servant.
Yes. That's a good one.
Maybe it'll change our perspective.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. I think that's a good close right there to do unto others. Be a servant more than expecting something back, because sometimes you will not get anything back. But share with us how is it going with you with aging parents? How is it going with you with your own aging body? We could do maybe #3VU aging and let us know what's going on. Thanks for listening.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.